Welcome to Passionate World Talk Radio. Educate, enlighten, entertain.
This episode of the Energy Stoners Cafe is sponsored by Passionate World Talk Radio and Lillian Caldwell. PassionateWorldTalkRadio.com. Welcome to the Energy Stoners Cafe. My name is Toni Quest, and I'm really happy that you're here. I like to interview the most interesting people I can find on the planet. So grab a cup of coffee, sit down, relax, and listen. You're going to find that these guests are so intriguing, you'll wonder why you didn't know about them before. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Energy Stoners Cafe. I'm Toni Quest, as you know, and I have a wonderful guest today for you. His name is Bob Buchanan. I've interviewed him before in my other shows, but I'm interviewing him this time because some time has passed. He's written another book, and I know that you guys will be really interested in this one. Let me tell you about Bob. Bob is a Caulbearer. A lot of people like to use the word psychic, but he doesn't call himself psychic. As a matter of fact, he doesn't like to be called that. He's a Caulbearer. A Caulbearer is someone that reaches beyond the veil. Often when people have someone in their family who has passed on, they have questions and there's a grief period, but they're often left with a lot of questions about the person who passed away. And in steps Bob. Bob can help you with that. He's helped me with that, and he's helped other people with that because he has this special gift. I'm going to ask him to try to explain it, but I want to talk to him about the way he helps people with the gift that he has. Bob, welcome back to my show. Welcome to the Energy Stoners Cafe.
Thanks for having me, Toni. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we've known each other for a while, and you know that I'm crazy about you and what you do because I know that you're so full of good energy and goodwill. And I just want you to tell the audience a little bit about, or you can tell them a lot about what a Caulbearer does versus a straight-up psychic or card reader, because most people don't know.
What a Caulbearer, first let me explain what a Caulbearer is. A Caulbearer means that I was born with a caul, not in call, a caul. That's a veil on my face, which has to be removed by the surgeons. It's a physical thing. That is a sign of psychic abilities. What I do is very similar to mediums, only I don't get, before I came out, I like to say, I always knew I had a gift. I didn't acknowledge it. It scared me. About 12 years ago, I came out and started doing this with people and talking to people. What I do is I get 1 to 5 souls. I call them not spirit guides. I'm different. I call my sessions, not readings, because I realized a long time ago, I'm not reading anything. Why am I calling it readings? What happens, I close my eyes and a faded black and white movie begins to play. So those 1 to 5 are going to be the people that are closest to you. They could be relatives. They could be friends. They could be any number of things. I don't know. Once we identify who they are, they're going to give me a little bit about what my client has done with them and their life with them and where they are. I don't do what I call funeral home speak, but I tell my clients that everybody I get is in the light and it becomes whole again. That's it. That's all I tell them. In the light means they're in heaven. I very, very strongly believe that if somebody's bad here and they go to the dark, they don't come out. I've never gotten anybody in the dark.
Never
gotten anybody from the dark. Okay. What they'll do is after we establish who they are, we go through their life with that person. They're going to open up a window in my client's life, what they're going through, where they need to go. It could be any number of things. It could be validation. I never know, and I don't judge. I just let the souls talk to me. I close my eyes a lot so I can see the faded black and white movie, and I let it roll. I don't ask questions. I'll ask, the questions I ask is usually, does that make sense to you? Meaning what I just told you. And then I ask the people, my clients, if I ask any questions, it's very important that you don't answer a lot of questions. So I ask them to say yes or no. Don't expand. It just helps me know that we're going in the right direction, or the way I said it made sense to them. Okay. And I've recently allowed maybes because sometimes people say maybe, I'm not sure. Okay, I'll take that, but don't say any more. We'll just keep going. So, that's how it works. And one woman said to me, she said, wow, this is like a therapy session. I said, yeah, but I did all the talking. And she looked at me and she laughed. She said, you're right. What I do now, and I didn't at first, when I was done with my messages, I would end the session. And a lot of people had some questions. So now after I'm convinced, and I'm a skeptic, by the way, you got to know that. I have to convince myself that it's right. I question everything. I want to make sure it's not one of these deals where, oh, I bought a red car and you told me I was going to buy a red car. Well, to me, that's a power of suggestion. I would say that to them. I take a very real practical look at this. Okay, I have to. It's got to be legitimate. It's got to be helpful to the person I'm with, because God forbid, they're giving me a lot of information. And by the way, a lot of people that do what I do, or say they do what I do, rely on you telling them a lot of stuff. And then you go walk away from that, and the next day you realize, wow, I told that person a lot. It's going to be damaging to that person. It's going to hurt them. And that's not what I'm here for, Toni. I'm here to help people through whatever it is they're going through. And it might take one session or more.
Well, that's true. And I've experienced readings from you, over the years, as a friend and also professionally as well. But I noticed on your new book, it's titled, I Can't Find a Boyfriend. I Can't Find You a Boyfriend or Your Keys. The subtitle is My Life as a Caulbearer. I'm going to spell it for the people so they know how Caulbearer is spelled. It's Caulbearer, Caulbearer. And so I guess it's sort of spelled in a more European way, English, rather than Call. But I know for a fact what you do is real. And I've always been curious, Bob, and you just described it, about what you see. So you close your eyes and you see a faded black and white movie. And sometimes you seem to hear things.
Yeah, they'll talk to me. It's a faded black and white, but they talk to me in whispers. Very similar to more of a telepathy. And that's why I only get 1 to 5 souls, because they're going to bring that message. And sometimes it can get a little confusing. I might have, like grandmothers always show me themselves in the kitchen. I might have the dad's mom reversed with the mom's mom. That's, that happens. But we figure it out. And that's because my 2 grandmothers cooked and were in the kitchen all the time. And that's, it makes it easier to identify them faster. I see with like a lot of food, which means they cooked a lot, plate of food, which means they made just stuff to eat, whatever had to eat. And with the arms folded, which means they made reservations, because not all grandmothers cooked.
I've heard about that. I had 2 grandmothers. One cooked, one didn't. I'm just saying. But I won't say which is which. But I think that it's just so fascinating to me, that you can have this gift and that you help people. Now, I have to ask you this question, and I think that the audience would be curious as well. People come to you after a tragedy. I'm reading the book, and often the readings that you've done and the people that you've counseled have had a tragedy. It's one thing, let's say, if like your old auntie died. I spoke to you about that for myself recently. And what I found interesting, I'll tell the audience, this is why one of the many reasons I know you're real, is that once you stop talking, everybody wants to come in. At least that's what I find when I've had you give me a session. I won't call it a reading because I know that you don't like to call them readings because you're not really reading anything. It's a session. I think the energy is more taxing on you. You're the one that's being sort of drained of the energy because the person that's having the session with you does not say anything.
It takes a lot of my energy to do this. It just does. I don't know. When I first started out, and the whole thing has changed. When I first started out, it could be 90 degrees out. And I'd be in a sweatshirt freezing. Then that got to the point where I was a little tired. Now I get a lot of energy, but then later on, I could be sitting watching TV. The next thing you know, I'm in what I call a Caulbearer coma. I just go out, boom, instantly without thinking about it to get my energy back.
No, I think that I imagine that. That's why, I'll tell you, I'm one of the friends of yours that I try so hard not to be like an emotional drain or a psychic drain, because I know what that's like. I think also that the audience should know that the things you come up with and the things you come out with and everything is so spontaneous, it's startling. I want to share with the audience that we did a television session here a few years ago, and the session was constantly being disrupted by spirit. And it wasn't a scary thing. It was just peculiar. Now, often you'll say during your sessions, you'll actually identify the person and their relationship with you. And I'm trying to figure out to this day how you do it. I can't figure it out. Things that you should not know. What was it like when you first, discovered this gift, and how did you get through your childhood with this gift?
It wasn't easy. I remember as a baby, first memory, and my mother put me in, and I told her this. I told this years later, at 11 o'clock in the morning for a nap. Gave me a bottle. Something told me, don't drink the milk. It's sour. I told my mother where the crib was in the room, the windows at the end of the bed, and I took the drink anyway, and it was sour, and I threw it out. So that was about 13 months, maybe younger, okay? And we're building a fort, and this is in the 50s. We're building a snow fort in snow similar to what we're getting now, a little worse. And I'm getting these visions of computers of today. Now, this is in the 50s. And this would happen all the time. And the one thing that I think kind of devastated me is my dad went into the hospital. He was an alcoholic, and he was going in to just get straight again. And I woke up at 8 o'clock in the morning knowing he'd passed. And they called us at 8:30. That frightened me. And, that made me want to suppress it. Because I'd also get what's known as the worry voices. Like, kids are out tonight, they're driving. Oh, I know they're in an accident. I'm waiting for the police to come, blah, blah, blah. And then they'd be walking through the door. This causes a lot of anxiety, tremendous amount of anxiety, a lot of pain. Sometimes I'll be talking to people and I'll get the soul will come through me so strong, I'll start crying. The first time that happened, I was up in Sugarloaf in a store I used to work out of. And I'm starting to cry. And I'm like, oh, shit, don't cry. These people don't know you. I don't know them. They can't see me cry. I had no control over it. I like it because I help people. But as far as me, my ego, this is great. This is wonderful. It's cool like they see on TV. No, it's not. If you're doing it right, it's not. It's painful. Okay, and you're helping people get through. Now, some people are in worse situations than others. I've worked on several murders. I'm still working with the family of the jogger out in Queens. I started out with them within a week after the homicide. The guy down on 84th Street, he was from Stanford, actually, the kid. I told them where they were going to find the body. The police will talk to me usually. I was dealing with an aunt who was a good friend of ours. I said, they're going to find his body by the side of the road in New Jersey. And I walked in a couple of days after that. It's my daughter's house. She had the news on, and there's a helicopter shot over a road in New Jersey and on the Jersey Shore, actually, the boatyard, and the body was next to that road. So I get stuff, it's just amazing stuff that happens. It just is. And I take it seriously, and I don't judge anybody. I can't sit there and judge you. I can't let my beliefs, what I do, enter into the session at all. I'm in a zone anyway, Toni. So it doesn't happen. But if I did, and I know people that do what I do that do that. I had one client, this particular medium who I don't believe in, tells this woman she needs to get a real job. So we're talking at the end of the session, because I don't really like to do a lot of talking until after I'm validated. After I'm validated, then I open it up to questions, and very rarely do they have their questions. More frequently than not, their questions are answered for them. I said, what do? You need a better job. I'm a nursing supervisor in a nursing home. I'm like, that sounds pretty important to me.
Yeah, that is pretty important.
So you see, if you do that, it's not fair to the people you're with. It's none of our business what your life is like My business is to help you get through and get past whatever it is you need to get past.
What I've noticed in knowing you over the years, and you don't talk about your clients or anything like that. I happen to know some of your clients, but you don't talk about your clients, and that's very important. You keep it to yourself, and I think it's great that after a session that you just forget it. You don't even remember it. But I noticed in the book that there seems to be a lot of information about relationships. So tell me more about that.
What I remember in the book, you'll read the sessions I've had. I remember generally if it physically happened here, not the reading. I always get if it's an interesting story, I want it out there so people can find me. It can help people that need something. I always ask permission from my client. Let me tell you something. I've never had anybody say no. I usually change the names, but they say yes. As a matter of fact, the woman who wrote the foreword in this book, she lost her son in a house fire. Okay, and she's been very supportive. Her story is all over the place, and we use her real name. But I always get permission. I don't talk about, Jimmy Jones did this. I don't do that. That's not my business. What I do is I have to tell people this is what I do, and this is how it helps people, and I maybe can help you too. Now, the relationship thing and the reason why I say I can't find your boyfriend or my keys, okay, is because the heart wants what it wants. And if I tell somebody that their spouse or their significant other is not a good person and they're in love with them, they won't listen to me. So I avoid relationships. I get a little bit from relationships. I do. Okay. And I would give it to them, but I don't take it seriously. And when it comes to, I was driving down the road after a session. Actually, this client lived not far from you, and the phone rings. It's her. She says, Bob, she said, I can't find my keys. Do you know where they are? I'm like, that's not what I do. I call that the carnal block. I said, I don't know. Check under the seat cushion on the couch. I don't know where they are. So I'm upfront about that. And then, but how I address it in the book is I talk about that just once, and I talk about why I can't find your boyfriend. And as far as keys go, I can't find my own. Enough said. That's
so silly that they would call you up about something like that.
Well, it has happened where a woman, we were sitting actually down at the waterfront by you, and a woman asked me if her mother's ring, if the caregiver stole the mother's ring. Now, as a former cop, right away I kick in, I'm thinking yes, but then I stopped myself. And I said, no, I described this dresser, 2 small drawers on the top, wide drawers on the bottom, second small drawer on the right in the back. I said, listen, you can check. I don't usually do this. Check anyway. If you find it, let me know. She said, well, but we checked. We tore that dresser apart. She knew which one I was talking. I said, okay, just check again. Well, she checked again, and they found it on the right side, but in the middle of the drawer. Okay. That was about a year or two ago. I recently sat with her, and she said I could write the story and use her name. And her father passed, and we're talking about her father. And she said, I remember that finding that ring, but it wasn't there. She said, I don't know how. And all of a sudden, the mother's with me. She was with me anyway. But all of a sudden, the mother says, I put it back there. The mother found that ring and put it back into that drawer so she could find it. That was crazy.
That is crazy.
I think I wrote about that on my Facebook page, on my YouTube channel. But like I said, if you ask me the messages I got from her father, couldn't tell you. Hold a gun to my head, might as well pull the trigger. I don't remember because it just comes through me.
It just comes through you. It's very spontaneous. It's very authentic. Now, I noticed also that I know, and I've spoken to you about this, that generally when you go into that particular zone, into that trance, the people that come in, assuming that the client that you're dealing with can actually stop talking, because usually they're upset about something, I imagine, that there's a certain amount of people that sort of come in. Now, I want to ask you, when you feel those different spirits in there, and it's interesting how you can identify who they are, and you can actually describe them in a way that the client themselves knows that this is very real. Is it that they're all gathering together to help the person that you're actually having the session with?
Yeah, the souls are always there looking out for us. But that's exactly what it is. They come together. They'll come in one at a time, so I have time to identify them. They'll show me stuff. And I tell people, when one woman, her father showed me, he would come home every night and pull a lollipop out of his pocket. And that turned out to be true. And it's often they tell me, yeah, that's true. I'm like, really? Because I don't know, my father never pulled a lollipop out of his pocket.
No, that's incredible.
So, they give me something like that usually. That woman that I told you about with the fire, she lost everything. She had nothing. And a friend of mine contacted me on Facebook, who was a friend of hers, put us together. I said, I'm not going to charge her. But I talked to her and I said, have her call me. People have to call me. I can't call them. And so, when I'm calling her, and she reminded me of this, I think you may have read it in the book, I described the house that actually burnt down, not the house she was living in.
Oh.
And she was blown away.
Yeah, it's interesting. The messages that you get are always, I'll say, stunning. That's been my experience. And it's just, I don't try to explain it. I just accept it for what it is. I've learned that that's the best way. I don't try to explain it as to how you're getting these messages. Now, you told me something else that I think is really important to share with the audience. You said to me, because I remember asking you, all these different family members were in the room, and I'm thinking to myself, well, they didn't get along, and I don't understand why she would want to be near this relative. And you told me that once people get to the other side, you said that everything's all about love, assuming that they're getting to the other side.
Well, everybody gets to the other side. It's just which direction they go. It's up to them when they live.
Up or down.
Like they live here. But what happened was I get lessons from my readings. Some of the stuff I tell my clients are actually lessons for me. And I was in a psychic fair in Pipe Valley. This is when I first started out. It was the first one I ever did. And a woman comes in. I told her, her mother-in-law and mother are going to be together to show me a table at Thanksgiving. She said, oh, no, they hated each other. They wouldn't even talk to each other. I said, not anymore. All hate and anger goes away once you get over there. So there's no hate. There's no anger. They become whole again. It's a good experience. And by the way, I just got to say this. I don't know if you were going to ask me if I beat you to it. I'm sorry. I've gotten souls have come to me the same morning that they've passed. Okay. So the stuff that you have to wait for a year, that's one of the TV personalities say that. That's nonsense because I've had them come to me same day.
Did they trust you? Is it because they trust you?
These gifts, and I'm not, me, I'm not a Bible thumper, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that, okay? But these gifts are granted by God. And anybody that really has the gifts, they're granted by God. God gives us the ability to listen to those souls, to bring them through to us, and take their messages and bring them to the people that we meet with. John Edwards had lost his gifts. It was in his book. This is what made me realize. He wrote that when he made it all about himself and money, he lost his gifts. He's gotten them back since. And I'm not about to lose these gifts. So I got to make money. I got to pay my mortgage, but I don't make it about money. Like I said, I went and saw Brenda, didn't charge her. Okay. Because I had nothing. This is definitely not about me. And if I make it about me, and it's about my ego, my gifts are gone, and I don't want to lose these gifts because I help people.
And we don't want you to lose them either. I don't want you to lose them.
If it ever happens, I won't be like some of the others, just keep doing it and faking it. I'll just walk away and be thankful for the people I've helped. Knock on wood, and I'm knocking on my desk. I don't take advantage, and I never bring bad messages. The same medium I told you about, what happened, she told a woman that her mother was mad at her because she turned off the life support. I'm like, what? The woman didn't have a life here anymore. She was in bad shape. You sent her to a better place, essentially. Think logically. See, you have to think logically with this. I like to tell people, look, I'm a logical, straightforward person. I do not live in Rainbow Town on a unicorn farm with Crystal Garden. That's just not me. And I think it's important if we're doing this to do that. Very important.
Yeah. I think that people come to you, like I was saying in the beginning, when people come to consult you, they're in a place of pain and loss very often. And so they're going there. You're actually, I'm wondering if you absorb this grief. Do you feel it?
I do feel it. Yeah. Like I said, I started crying because the first time, and I kind of remember this, and this was like 12 years ago, the woman was connected to her mother. Her mother was with me, and their love for each other was so profound that I started feeling it. And that's when I broke down. So, yeah, I do feel it. I feel the messages when they come through me. Sometimes, not all the time, but a lot, I'll feel the connection between the two people, the one that's here and the soul that's with me. Some people will come to me and just want to talk to one particular soul. I'll get that one soul, but I'll also try to get a couple others anyway, just to bring them in. But ultimately, the one soul will do all the talking.
Interesting. Sometimes they're not the first person to speak. I'll share with the audience my had experience with you. The person I was interested in, because I didn't tell you anything, I was just very quiet. And it seems like the whole family was there. And the person that I wanted to really talk to, she didn't speak till the very end.
I don't know why that is, but that happens. Although if you tell me who you want to see, if I remember, okay, I had a woman call me. She said, I lost my son in a motorcycle accident. I said, I wish you hadn't told me that. So I went to see her. Long story short, I brought several other souls through, and then her son came in. Because it had to be legitimate. If I just went and said, your son is here, to me, that's not legitimate. It would have been, but it doesn't sound legitimate. That's very important that you don't, if you call me and request that you see me, I don't want to tell me your I never get last names, so I can't be accused of Googling people. Don't tell me why you want to see me. Don't tell me who's passed. If you do, and we book something a week down the road, it's highly unlikely I remember what you told me anyway.
It's interesting in your book you talk about someone that was trying to sort of throw rain on your parade and accused you of being a fake. And yet you engaged with her anyway, and you ended up having session with her, and it seemed to turn everything around. What is it like when people, because I know a lot of people think that people with a gift like that, many of us, we don't broadcast it because we're not making any money out of it, but, the gift is there. But what do you do when people say that and somehow you're able to sort of redeem yourself or show your authenticity?
That was on the internet, and her girlfriend who lost her son was a client of mine, and she was accusing me of psychological tricks. So it was on Facebook, and my clients that are on that page started attacking her. I asked them to back off. So I went inbox, and we were talking. I talked to my friend later. I had actually done a session with this woman she had forgotten. She had been with a psychic on the boardwalk in New Jersey, down the Jersey Shore, and got ripped off, and that's why she was angry. And so I gave her a lot of information about herself and stuff. She's like, how do you know this? I said, how do you think I know?
Oh, wow. It's a tough thing. And I understand that when you were actually in law enforcement, when you were a cop, that you had to deal with some things. I'm wondering if your gift came in, because initially you weren't really letting people know that you had this gift. It was a secret. It was a secret between you, yourself, and you. I'm wondering, did it play into anything that you did when you were a cop?
I was told, and I can't validate this, but by one of my bosses, that I had more felony arrests than anybody on the job. And I would just know things. I don't know why I knew things. We had these guys, they pulled me out of the car and I was walking. I locked up a guy who stole credit cards from his coworker. My lieutenant told me to let him go. I said, no, because he stole his card, Long and short of it, I did ultimately arrest him because I caught him lying a couple of times. I got 8 felony indictments, 3 misdemeanor indictments. He got time served 2 weeks, and I got pulled out of the car and walked for the next 2 years. So I'm walking, and these guys pull up in front of Dress Barn, grab a whole bunch of dresses, jump in the car, and take off. So I put that over the air. The communications didn't put that over the air. I gave it to him again. This is on Terrytown Road, in the White Plains area. So I said to him, to communications, I put out again, and send 6-1, that's the sector, send 6-1 to Annie Says, which was on Central Avenue. Well, they did, and that's where they caught him.
How did you know they were there?
I don't know. I'll tell you, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. This stuff sometimes stuff just comes out of my mouth, Toni, and I don't know why. And when it does, I always ask the person, I'm sorry, I said, does that make sense to you, what I just said? Perfect example. Told a woman, you got to take a vacation. And I was going to say, go to Bermuda or the Bahamas. And out of my mouth came Rhode Island. And I'm in Rhode Island. Who the hell goes to Rhode Island? She said, I like Rhode Island. I said, oh, okay, then go to Rhode Island. Yeah, so I have to go with sometimes the souls just want to get something out where I'm not going.
And then I noticed also you have this way of knowing whether someone's like a parent, a grandparent. You talked about the cooking and seeing food. And somehow, it's interesting that when someone gets a session with you, that you actually differentiate between one grandmother and the other, which I thought was just so it is just so fascinating. And I just want to tell the audience, it's not a scary thing. I often wonder, do you hear bumps in the night? Do you hear noises in your house and you can just explain it away because, spirits come to you?
I've always had somebody here when we moved in, and this is before, two things happened when we moved in. The thermostat upstairs went up to 100 degrees. It was July, and nobody was even around it. And the door, I have a garage area. They didn't put a garage into my house, but the door between downstairs room and the garage often opened. And one day I woke up, I got a deck that overlooks the woods. Now my neighbor across the street passed away. He's a great guy, one of the good old boys who could do anything. And he helped me out a lot. And he was telling me he loved woods back there. And I think I have a Native American here. I do. So, I woke up and instead of these two chairs facing to the right, they were backed and facing straight out over the woods. So I asked my kids, they were young. I asked my kid, were you out on the deck last night? No. My son's like, no, I'm not going out there in the dark. Right? Meanwhile, he's a cop in the Bronx now. But anyway, I know that was my neighbor and Kenny and probably that Native American or his mother because she loved it too. So they were just sitting there. I also have a TV in my daughter's old room that goes on and off. That door's starting to open up again downstairs. It's been a while. So, yeah, I have things go on. There was a big bang the other night at 3 o'clock in the morning. I asked my wife if she heard it. I woke up. She didn't. So I'm not sure what that was. But what happens more than that is the souls will come to me and wake me up 2, 3, 5 o'clock in the morning with messages for somebody I might have seen earlier that I didn't get. All right. And this just happened today. I had a client. Her dad had passed, and I went to see her, and Dad was strong. I told her Dad's taking money out of his pocket, so I'm sure you're going to probably find in dimes. So she sends me this photograph in text with 5 dimes in her hand, okay? She said, I reached into my jeans with my left hand into my right pocket, and the only thing was this. She said, I found dimes a couple of times, but I figured, they probably just fell. But this, so I asked her, being that logical guy, did somebody give you change of all dimes? And she, no, none of it makes sense. Well, I said, that was your dad. Okay. He just wanted to make sure. So this morning I woke up and I'm going to text her probably later. Her dad let me know he'd been leaving dimes around for her. She wasn't paying attention. She wasn't sure. She said, is this my dad? He said, so I had to make sure she had something that she couldn't question. So I put those 5 dimes in her pocket. I was, complaining to my souls, why don't I get dimes? Dimes. So I had just finished shaving, and I was turning off the water, and all of a sudden I felt something hit my hand. I thought I got a shock, and I jumped back, and a dime fell out of my hand.
What? Get out.
I swear to God. I swear to God.
Well, I've heard that dimes are a sign of people that have passed on trying to make contact. I've heard this before.
They're letting you know that they're there. That's what that really is about. And it's always someone that gave you money as a kid, grandma, here, go buy yourself candy, grandpa, whatever. That's what I find. Okay. Other mediums might have other experiences. We all have different experiences, but that's what I have found. When somebody shows me that they're pulling money out of their pockets, that lets me know that the person I'm with is going to find dimes.
So what can someone do for themselves if they're trying? Can people make contact on their own? Is there a way they can pray? Is there a way they can meditate, to get the message? Or is this something that really only happens for people that are gifted to your extent?
I'll explain to them how, first off, they say everybody has the gift. to a degree, that's true. But with all these TV shows, everybody wants to be doing this, okay? Again, God doesn't grant the gifts. He's sparing you. Look, I think I was a cop because I was in a real bad area. I've been shot at. I dealt with a lot of horrific stuff. I believe that made me stronger to deal with what I deal with here now. But what happens is, I call it logical, illogical. It comes to you in a passing thought. You can be sitting having dinner, and like I was having dinner, one of my clients had a TV show. I'm eating dinner. I hadn't talked to him about a week. All of a sudden, I hear Frankie's getting a phone call. Just like that, Tony, boom, and that was it. Then I went on to eating. I called him up. I said, I think you're going to get a phone call. He said, yeah, we got a plan for next Wednesday.
Wow. Okay. So that's like not a coincidence.
Not a coincidence. No, I don't believe in coincidences. You just get this passing thought that you shouldn't get. And most of us just pass it off as, oh, I don't know. I think the thing that's really true is you think of Joanne, and then Joanne calls you. That's also part of it. Do you want this gift? Honestly, no, you don't. It's not what you think. That's all I'm going to say.
Nobody wants to have like all kinds of ghosts walking around them all the time, but they're there anyway, I would say. And what do you think about like when people walk into a space and you get like a vibe? I remember walking down the street with you one time and someone passed us the other direction and you looked over and you made a remark and I could see that you kind of jumped a little bit. And you made a remark about this person. And so sometimes if someone's energy is very, very negative, you can sense it.
It's negative or positive, or if they're in pain. I don't do what I call the blind side. I don't think it's fair to people. Just walk up to them and say, oh, by the way, your mom passed. I did that once. Anyway, I was sitting in family court with my daughter, custody thing. And this woman walked in with a lawyer. And I had an older woman saying, tell her, everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. And no, I don't do that. I'm arguing with the soul, right? I said, okay. The lawyer went away, and she said, no, go talk to her. I said, no, I won't. I can't. So the lawyer comes back, and then she's like, you got to talk to her, tell her it's going to be okay. Long story short, I said, okay, if the lawyer leaves again, I'll go talk to her. And sure enough, the lawyer gets up and leaves again. So I went over, I handed her my card. I said, listen, I don't know if you believe in this or not. I don't like to do this, but I'm getting somebody who I believe is a mother telling me that not to worry, everything's going to be okay today. And she looked at me. She said, that's my godmother. I asked her on the way over here to give me a sign that things were going to be okay.
Wow. It's interesting. It's funny how you can just ask God for a sign.
I don't ask. They come to me.
They just come to you.
You mean the other person? Yeah, she asked for a sign, and I happen to be there. There are no coincidences.
Yeah, so you're the one to deliver the message.
People find me in strange ways.
Yes, this is true. I can attest to that, most definitely. But I'm just going to close because we're running out of time. But I want to have you back on because I always have more questions. I'll share with the audience very quickly that when I met you, it was for a completely different reason. It had nothing to do with this. And how can someone get in touch with you?
They can call me at my phone number. Is it okay to give my phone number?
That's up to you.
Okay. They contact me, 914-879-1115. They can find me on Facebook or my webpage, which is Bob B, just the letter B, Caul Medium, C-A-U-L, medium, all one word, .com. And they can reach me through there.
And how about YouTube? Do you have YouTube videos and stuff?
I do have YouTube videos. If you go to my webpage and even on my Caul Medium Facebook page, it'll take you to my YouTube. I think it's the same thing. I think it's Bob B. Caul Medium.
Okay, Bob B. Caul Medium. So now you have it, audience, and I'll tell you the book is called I Can't Find You a Boyfriend or Your Keys, My Life as a Caulbearer by Bob Buchanan. Buy it. Is it available on Amazon? And he's also giving you all of his other info, even his phone number. Give him a call. I know that he's real. And if, he deals very well with the mysteries that we all deal with. So I think that it would be a very positive thing to give Bob Buchanan a call, especially, as many of us are going through a lot of changes these days especially, and Bob can help you because that's what he wants to do. And thank you so much, Bob, for coming to the show once again.
Thank you, Toni.
You always deliver the goods. Thank you so much.
By the way, just real quick, they can text me as well.
Okay, texting number is?
Same as I just gave you.
Okay, it's the same as his phone number. Give him a call. Listen to this interview again. This is the kind of interview when I do it, I know that it's the kind of interview that I would hope that people, when they do get it, when it gets out on the internet, which would be shortly, that you'll listen to it again, because I have a feeling that every time you listen to it, you're going to learn something different. And thank you, everybody that comes to listen to the Energy Stoners Cafe. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the evening or the day or wherever you are in the world. And please be safe out there and be nice to each other. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Energy Stoners Cafe.
Thank you for listening to Passionate World Talk Radio. You can listen to this program all over again by going over to https://passionateworldtalkradio.com. You can also hear it on Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Alexa, AMFM247.com every Tuesday evening between 8 and 9 p.m. YouTube, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, and all the other podcast directories one can find on the Internet.